What's good, sports fans? Are you ready to elevate your live entertainment experience? Well, let me introduce you to SeatGeek, an amazing platform that connects you to your favorite events while saving you money. With SeatGeek, you can easily find tickets for sports games, concerts, and so much more, all in one place. The interface is user-friendly, making it simple to browse and compare prices. And one of the best features is the interactive seating chart. You can see exactly where you'll be sitting and how much you'll be spending, ensuring you get the best value for your money. But here's the best part. Check this out. By using my promo code, ChalkItUpSports, you can enjoy a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. That's right, $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Imagine catching that thrilling game or concert without breaking the bank. It's a win-win situation. Plus, you'll be a part of a community of fans who eat, sleep, and breathe live events just as much as you do. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to download the SeatGeek app today. And don't forget to use my promo code ChalkItUpSports for a one-time $20 discount on your first SeatGeek order. Get excited. Now let's get back to the show. Yeah. What's good? This is your boy, Tone DeShields the second. You guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. You know what it is. Make sure I smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. It means a lot to me. It goes a long way. You guys have access to this content in a multitude of ways. Not only can you watch the playback on YouTube, and I also appreciate you guys who always double back on YouTube and rewatch the streams, but you also can lock in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you can check me out on TikTok and Instagram. We're always posting up our short form content over there. So we appreciate you guys. Make sure you stay locked in. Make sure you guys smash that like button. That like button is currency. It's super important to the life of the show and how we thrive here at Chalk It Up Sports. So make sure you guys stay engaged, get active, kick your feet up, and let's enjoy a good afternoon of sports talk. Well, in my case, a good morning. It's 11:30 where I am. But for some of you guys, it may be 12:30 or 10:30 or 9:30, whatever it is. Don't matter, man. Kick your feet up, get comfortable. Make sure you knocked off all your tasks for your work day before lunchtime. You feel what I'm saying? So let's get right to it. I want to talk to you guys about this recent news that's been going around the NFL, man. It's been hectic this week in the NFL. It's been hectic in the NBA as well, but in the NFL, man, or it's been hectic in the NBA. The NFL has really done a great job at always keeping their product at the forefront. And we see all these free agent moves in the NBA. Cool. And they're exciting, of course. Don't get it twisted. But all it takes is one move for the NFL to get back on top. That's all it takes. And lo and behold, who are they? The Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins decided to trade Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey, man. And I think we all knew this was coming a bit. It was being talked about. It was being talked about that Jalen Ramsey would likely be moved. It was just a matter of time and a matter of where. And Jalen Ramsey gets traded to the Steelers, and the Dolphins receive Minkah Fitzpatrick. This is a pretty big deal. This is a pretty high-profile move here. And when you think about the nature of the move, if you scroll down to the details, let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. Here are the details. So the Steelers are going to receive Jalen Ramsey, and tight end Jonnu Smith, and the 2027 seventh round pick. The Miami Dolphins are going to receive Minkah Fitzpatrick and the 2027 fifth round pick. Now, I mean, Jalen Ramsey's 30. Jonnu Smith, let me see how old he is real quick. I don't think he's that old, but Jonnu Smith is 29 years old. So, all right, he's getting up there. So Miami moves a 30-year-old corner. They move a 29-year-old tight end, and they get a 28-year-old safety in Minkah Fitzpatrick instead. Now, Minkah Fitzpatrick, he was drafted by the Miami Dolphins, but he really didn't spend too much time there. If I'm not mistaken, Minkah Fitzpatrick only played 18 games for the Dolphins before being traded in his second season, which was strange. I still can't remember the details as to why they decided to move on from him at such an early stage in his career. But I'm sure the Miami Dolphins were pretty dysfunctional then, just as they are now. And he's been a Pittsburgh Steeler ever since. He's been a Pittsburgh Steeler since 2019, and he's been a phenomenal player for them. 3-time All-Pro as a Steeler, 5-time Pro Bowler, and I'm talking first team. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been that dude throughout his career. He's been one of the best safeties over the past 6, 7 years, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. So Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of them ones. So for him to go back to Miami is very interesting. And Jalen Ramsey, for him to go to the Steelers, I think about their team as it's presently constructed now. They got some DBs over there. Obviously, they have Darius Slay. They have Darius Slay. They got Joey Porter Jr. Let's see who else they got over there. So, Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr. They got some guys over there. Juan Thornhill at safety, Deshaun Elliott at safety. That DB room is legit. On the older side, obviously Slay is 34, 35, I think, and Jalen Ramsey is 30. Joey Porter's the young buck in the building, so he's getting a lot of experience with those guys. He's going to have a lot of experience with those guys. But that Steelers defense just continues to look more fascinating. They drafted Derek Harmon. They drafted Jack Sawyer. They got some guys. Obviously they got Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith. They're still working on things with TJ Watt. But that Steelers defense, I think that Steelers defense is still formidable. But at the same time, you lose a first-team All-Pro multi-time in Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's not easy to replace. Now, granted, when you think about the Steelers situation, they've been doing it one way for so long. So maybe they felt they needed to shake things up. And look, getting Jalen Ramsey back, getting a tight end back in Jonnu Smith, now your tight end position is a bit stacked. You have Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith now, Darnell Washington. You also have DK Metcalf at wide receiver and Calvin Austin, the third at wide receiver. So it looks to me that the Steelers are preparing to play a lot of 12 personnel on offense, at least. But defensively, you get weaker at safety. You get stronger at corner. Again, the Steelers have been doing it one way for a long time. Shaking some things up, I'm not really mad at it. I'm not mad at the move. Now, on the Dolphins side of things, the Dolphins, it seems like the Dolphins are kind of just clearing house, right? Dolphins traded Jalen Ramsey out the building, traded Jonnu Smith out of the building. They bring back Minkah Fitzpatrick, who didn't want to be there in the first place, right? Now, they're obviously getting a more polished Minkah, but I don't know how much Minkah Fitzpatrick wants to be in Miami. He left there for a reason early in his career. But I bring this move up. I bring these moves up because I think about Kelee Ringo, and a lot of people wanted the Eagles to inquire about Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, right? Those were like the two names that Eagles fans were inquiring about. And lo and behold, Jair Alexander signs to the Baltimore Ravens. Jalen Ramsey gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now I look at the Eagles DB room. In particular, I look at the cornerback room and I say to myself, all right, y'all, we're past the point of no return. We're past that point of no return. Alexander, not available. Jalen Ramsey, not available. You got no choice but to bet on Ringo now. You have no choice. And I think the Eagles, in their lack of moves or aggressiveness, they're showing you that we're rolling with Ringo until further notice. I mean, I personally had a feeling that both of those moves, Jair Alexander and Jalen Ramsey, weren't, I don't want to say feasible, but Jalen Ramsey, I didn't think it was feasible for one. I mean, you see what it took to get him, right? And the Jair Alexander move, I just felt like his health was an issue. So I don't see why the Eagles would make a move for him, and they didn't do so. So now we look at Kelee Ringo and we say to ourselves, all right, what's the play? We talked about this a while ago. We said that we noticed that Vic Fangio has shown some confidence in Kelee Ringo. He's shown some confidence in him. He made it very clear that all he needs is reps. Right? You look at the cornerback room for the Eagles right now. Obviously, you have Quinyon Mitchell. You have Cooper DeJean. You have Kelee Ringo. You got Matt McWilliams. You got Eli Ricks. Who else they got over there? Adoree Jackson. Tyreek Castro Fields. BJ Mays. Brandon Johnson. It's a lot of guys over here. AJ Woods, Perry Nickerson. Obviously, the main guys we're looking at, we're thinking about are Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and Kelee Ringo. Those are our main guys right now. And who knows what Adoree Jackson's? Who knows what Adoree Jackson has left? We don't know. He's been battling injury mostly his career. So what kind of impact will Adoree make? We don't know. But I think Kelee Ringo is going to beat him out. I think Kelee Ringo is going to be the starter. I think Kelee Ringo is going to have a strong season. I think this is his opportunity. I'm still all in on Kelee Ringo. I'm rolling the dice on that because Kelee Ringo's entering year 3. I remember when Nakobe Dean was entering year 3, and the Eagles decided to bet on him again. He had a spectacular season after he settled into the league, after he got healthy. So Kelee Ringo, I'm expecting the same thing. Now, Kelee hasn't battled injuries, but the depth chart hasn't been on his side with the talent and Quinyon and Coop and so on and so forth, right? And Darius Slay when we had him. So this is an opportunity for Kelee Ringo. This is an opportunity. And we'll see how it turns out for sure. Doomsday Corner says, I think Kelee is going to show improve. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Now, look, no one's saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler his first season as a starter. Nobody's saying he's going to be an All-Pro. Nobody's even going that far. But we're just saying, at least I'm saying that this is a guy that you drafted out of a program you respect, and you've gotten a lot of talent out of, and you've gotten a lot of production out of as well. Why would that trend stop with Kelee Ringo? They've given Nakobe Dean chance at the chance. You know, Nolan Smith came out in year 2 and, exploded on the scene. Jordan Davis obviously has been a work in progress with his conditioning, but he's begun to become the player the Eagles want, right? Jalen Carter came out and was an instant impact guy. You brought in Azeez Ojulari, who not only played for your rival, but Azeez Ojulari is a Georgia guy. You're betting on him not just because of what he's done in the league, but you're betting on him because he's a Georgia guy as well. So why would the trend stop? Kelee Ringo should get the same opportunity to show improve like Nakobe Dean and Nolan and all those guys. He should. And I think he's going to take the ball and run with it. I really do. Let's see where we're here. Fanny says Kelee has no choice. Sure don't. He ain't got no choice. I think he's going to be a good player. When you think about the measurables, you think about what Kelee has at his disposal. I mean, let me make sure I got this right here. Kelee Ringo, 6'2", 207 pounds. Ran a 4.3 640-yard dash time, a 33-inch vertical, 122-inch broad jump. Come on, man. A guy with those kind of measurables, you got to find a way to make it work with him. Because if he can figure it out, you can have probably the most physical cornerback room in the league. You could. The most athletic cornerback room in the league, you can definitely have that. Or at least trio with Quinyon, who's rangy, long arms, instinctual, knows how to tackle, knows how to play the ball. Cooper DeJean, who can maneuver through the traffic, can pick up any tight end or running back man-to-man, any slot receiver man-to-man, instinctual as well, sideline to sideline speed, a tackling machine, can play the run. And then got Kelee Ringo, who can also tackle, who's fearless, who's physical, with that size and that speed, the athleticism. That's the goal here. That's the overall goal. The overall goal for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think this has been the plan all along. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Kelee Ringo. I spoke about this last season or last offseason. I think the Eagles want to be able to get Kelee Ringo on the field. They would have 3 corners, 3 starting level corners who are under rookie contracts. So think about how much flexibility that provides for the Eagles to pay guys like Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, right? I don't know what Reed Blankenship's future is. I don't. But just think about the possibilities when you have flexibility with that cap, and a lot of your most talented guys are on rookie deals. It provides so much flexibility. And the guys are cost controlled. Sweet Chin Music says the size, the speed, the athleticism on the field could be crazy. Bro, it could. It will. Tiffany says if they had any concerns with Ringo, they would have been brought someone else in. Here's the thing, right? Obviously, a lot of you guys don't look at Adoree Jackson as any real problem, but Adoree Jackson was brought in here for depth. He's a veteran. He was brought in here to compete with Kelee Ringo. That's a fact. Now, whether you see him as competition is a different conversation. But I believe their intention. Well, how you see it doesn't really matter. What was their intent? Their intent was to bring in a veteran corner that still believes he has a lot left in the tank, who's going to compete with a young guy who's ready to take his career to another level. Adoree Jackson is a safety net, but also he's meant to push Kelee Ringo. Again, however you see Adoree Jackson, that's totally your right. I'm not acting like Adoree Jackson is some legitimate baller. I'm not acting like that. You know, Adoree Jackson has had a very interesting career. He's battled injuries. You know, he's been inconsistent. He hasn't been the best player that he possibly could be. And some of that isn't his fault. That's the reality. But he was brought in here to put some pressure on Kelee Ringo. And after the Jair Alexander signing to the Ravens, and after Jalen Ramsey gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's even more pressure on Ringo. We all talked about these guys. We brought it up. Should the Eagles make the move for Jalen Ramsey? What will it take to get Ramsey in the building? Should they sign Jair Alexander? Would that be a veteran minimum? What kind of money is he looking for? Can we get him for a 1-year prove-it deal? Jair Alexander was obviously the cheaper of the two. But the Eagles clearly felt like, we don't need to make that move. The Ravens, on the other hand, they felt like they needed to make that move. And also, there's the Louisville connection between Lamar Jackson and Jair Alexander. So now you look at the Ravens. You look at the Ravens, right? And you say, okay, what are the Ravens working with defensively? Obviously, they have Roquan Smith at linebacker. But you look at that defense, they got Kyle Van Noy. They got Nate Wiggins at corner, Kyle Hamilton at safety, Malachi Starks at safety, Jair Alexander at corner, and Marlon Humphrey in the nickel. That DB room, that defense, they got Broderick Washington. They got Nnamdi Matabuki. This Ravens defense should be the best in the NFL. Should be. And they're continuing to add to that team to put them over the hump. And when you think about the previous playoff runs they've had, I don't think we've looked at them and said they were deficient somewhere or they were really missing something. That's the thing. Like, I don't think we looked at the Ravens as a team that was so devoid of talent. And look, I don't care about teams taking every precaution, making every move they can to make their team better. I like that for the Ravens. Go get Jair Alexander. If you think that makes you better, if you think he gives you a better chance, you go get that. You go make that move, right? I mean, if I'm the Ravens, obviously you brought in DeAndre Hopkins at receiver. You got Rashad Bateman. You got Zay Flowers. So you have a blend of youth and ascending talent and veteran leadership, veteran talent at that receiver spot. That receiver room is decent. I would say the Ravens wide receiver room, actually, if I put their wide receivers and tight ends in one pot and just talk about their receivers, tight end and wide receivers included, I think the Ravens have a B+ A- group. That's what I think. I think Zay Flowers is a phenomenal talent who's ascending. He got hurt at the wrong time last year. I feel like they were missing him in the playoffs. But I think Zay Flowers is an ascending young talent. You know, I personally prefer my receivers a little bit bigger than what he is. I think Zay Flowers is like 5'11", 6 feet, something like that. He's 5'9". Jeez. So Zay Flowers is 5'9", 175. At least Devontae Smith is 6 feet. Zay Flowers is 5'9", 175. You know, he made the Pro Bowl. You know, he was in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, 24 years old, he's ascending, coming off of a 1,000-yard season. Had over 800 yards his rookie year. He's not really a red zone threat because of the size, but him in space, moving in the slot, them crossing routes, them out routes, that speed, them comeback routes, yeah. Zay Flowers, you can get a lot done with him. But again, not just Zay Flowers, you got Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman is coming off a career year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure I got that right. Rashad Bateman, all 4 years in Baltimore. He's been having up and down seasons. He's battled injuries in the second season. In 2024, he was his healthiest, and he had his most productive season. Over 750 yards receiving, 9 receiving touchdowns. Had a great season as a number 2 receiver, right? Isaiah Likely, and Mark Andrews. So Derrick Henry. Like, the Ravens have weapons. Are the Ravens a super team? Are the Ravens a super team? Let me answer y'all a question. And let me get to the super chat while I ask y'all this. Are the Ravens a super team? And shout out to Tyler Broswell for becoming a member. I appreciate you, Tyler. Alex says, Tone, and thank you for the super chat, $19.99, man. Thank you so much. He says, Tone, did you see the clip of Barkley talking about the Week 16 loss to Washington? We remember how they celebrated. If this was college, they would have stormed the field. That was definitely some motivation for the NFC Championship game. Yo, for sure. I saw that. We're actually going to talk about that in a little bit. We were actually going to talk about that. But yeah, just briefly, you know, because again, we're going to tap into that a little later. I'll come back to the super chat for sure. But yeah, I did see that. And it was hilarious because they were so excited about that win, the Commanders. They were so excited about that win. So excited. And, you know, sometimes you got to feed the needy. Sometimes you got to feed them. But I think the more fascinating point is that neither Washington nor Dallas reached out to him. That's going to be fascinating to talk about in a little bit. So keep it locked, you guys. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We're going to come back to the super chat, Alex, because I think this is a fun topic to talk about. So let's see. Joe Benji says, my bro that's a Ravens fan said they need a superstar wide receiver or D lineman to be a super team. Come on, man. That secondary and that linebacker room is stacked. What are you talking about? You can't have Pro Bowlers at every level. Like the Eagles didn't have a single. Let me make sure I got this right here. The Eagles didn't have a single Pro Bowl DB. There's not a single DB on the Eagles team that has Pro Bowls or All Pros. Now, the Eagles have an All Pro D tackle in Jalen Carter, but that's it. That's it. They got an All Pro. They got an All Pro linebacker. They got an All Pro and Pro Bowl level linebacker, right? Listen, that Ravens team is stacked, bro. I'm not yo, Joe, right? No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. That Ravens team is stacked. Stacked. You got a superstar tight end. You have a high quality tight end too in Isaiah Likely. You got a Pro Bowl level wide receiver in Zay Flowers. You got a legit number 2 in Rashad Bateman. And you brought in DeAndre Hopkins, who's a former All-Pro and Pro Bowler. And you're not even asking DeAndre Hopkins to be the number 1. You're asking him to be your number 3. And Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and Derrick Henry with that offensive line of Lamar Jackson. And you got that secondary in that linebacker room. And you got, hold on. We ain't going to do this now because my man, we're not going to act like the Ravens ain't got no talent now. Hold on. What's my man name? Nnamdi Madubuike? He's a problem. Nnamdi Madubuike is a 2-time Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro. The Ravens got a legit yo. Hey Benji, tell your mans, tell your bro he tripping. Tell your bro he tripping. Every team don't got to be built the same for it to be a super team. Like the Ravens don't got to be built like the Eagles to be called a super team. And I hate that super team talk with the Eagles. I think the Ravens have a better tight end room than the Eagles. But I think the Eagles have a better wide receiver room. So it balances. I think both teams have legit offensive lines. I think the Eagles' offensive line is better, but I think the Ravens have a phenomenal offensive line. Didn't they bring back, make sure I got this correct here. They brought back, what's my man name? Ronnie Stanley. They just gave him some money, if I'm not mistaken. They got Tyler Linderbaum. You know what I mean? So we can't act like the Ravens don't got weapons, right? So, we're gonna bring this thing full circle here, right? It's an arms race. It's an arms race. The Steelers needed to shake things up, and I respect it. I think the Steelers made a pretty good move there. They got better at corner. They probably felt like they can take a little bit of a hit at safety. And they needed to shake things up. I'm not mad at it. Now you ask yourself, who has the better secondary? I think the Ravens have a better secondary than the Steelers because of the safety position. Gee Jr. says it's funny how the media hypes Dallas Goedert, but he's never listed as a top 5 tight end. Yo, they do that a lot. They do that a lot with the Eagles players. You know, as a team, they call us a super team, but as individuals, they like to nitpick and say what they aren't. Are they a super team or not? And Boogie was good, little bro. Yeah, man, this is going to be an exciting season, man. I can't wait to see Jalen Ramsey with the Steelers. I can't wait to see Minkah Fitzpatrick do his thing with the Miami Dolphins. I'm just trying to figure out what the Miami Dolphins' plan is. The Miami Dolphins also just traded for Darren Waller. They traded for a retired Darren Waller. So, peep game. Peep this. Darren Waller decided to come out of retirement. I don't know what he has left. I'm not sure what Darren Waller can do for the Miami Dolphins. They just traded Jonnu Smith. I mean, I'm sure he's cheaper, but look, if Darren Waller can be productive for the Miami Dolphins, hey, more power to him. I just don't understand what the Dolphins are doing. Now here's another thing about the Dolphins I will mention. They're in cap hell. And what I mean by that is they're not in the negative, but they don't have much. They don't have much cap space. So they got rid of that Jalen Ramsey contract. They got rid of the Jonnu Smith contract. They do inherit the Minkah Fitzpatrick contract. Now, let me ask this, though. Was Minkah Fitzpatrick negotiating a contract? Let me see here. So Minkah Fitzpatrick was due to be an unrestricted free agent in 2027. Okay. So maybe he was looking to renegotiate. Maybe he was. We'll see if the Miami Dolphins pay him. I doubt they will. I doubt they will. And also, if you're the Dolphins, you ask yourself, where are you? Right? Are you ready to compete right now? I don't think the Dolphins are ready to compete, personally. I just don't. Maybe they think they are because, they have a talented offense. You have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert at running back. You would think that they're talented enough, but I don't know. I look at the AFC. And I try to figure out where do the Miami Dolphins fit in terms of being one of the better teams. I think the Ravens are better than the Dolphins. I think the Chiefs are better than the Dolphins. I think the Bills are better. I think the Bengals are better. I think the Steelers are better. I think Houston is better. I think Houston has a way better defense. I'm trying to think who else in that AFC I look at. I don't think the Dolphins are a top 10 team in the league. Let me get to the super chat here. Fanny, the Eagles fan, says Ravens are the best team in the AFC. I blame some of their postseason woes on poor judgment by Jackson at times, some bad play calling, and defensive shortcomings. Yeah, the Ravens are the head and shoulders best team in the AFC, right? They are the best team in the AFC. But you know how they always talk about who's the team to beat? I don't think the Ravens are the team to beat, even though they are the best team in the AFC and probably have the best defense in the league. But I don't think they're the team to beat. I think the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC because they've been that team, and the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC because they've been one of the most dominant teams over the past 3 seasons in the NFC. They've made it to 2 Super Bowls over the past 3 seasons in the NFC. They've won. They're coming off of a Super Bowl victory, and they're still talented on both sides of the ball, even after losing Darius Slay, losing Josh Sweat, and Milton Williams. So you think about the landscape of the league, the 2 teams to beat are the NFC and the AFC champions, Eagles and Chiefs. The Ravens, they can stockpile the talent all they want. I don't think they're the team to beat. That's my humble opinion, though. But I do think they're contenders. I do believe the Ravens are Super Bowl contenders. I do believe like a team like the Dolphins, if they can stay healthy, they can probably shake up that AFC East a little bit. But as far as I'm concerned, the Buffalo Bills, they run the AFC East. I think the Patriots are going to be better. They brought in Stephon Diggs. They brought in Milton Williams. They also brought in what's the former edge rusher from the Titans? Make sure I got his name right here. Where's my man at? I forget his name. Is it something Phillips or Landry or something like that? They brought in Harold Landry. So yeah, I think the Buffalo Bills are still the team to beat in the AFC East, but I think the Patriots are going to be better. I think the Jets are probably going to be on par with the same. I'm not too high on the Jets right now. If I had to predict the AFC East, I would say Buffalo Bills 1, Patriots 2, Dolphins 3, and Jets 4. I think the Patriots have a better defense than the Miami Dolphins. And the Patriots, I understand they're still figuring out their weapons on offense. You got Stephon Diggs, but I don't know, man. It's something I just think the Patriots are going to be better this year. I really do. DeAndre Solomon says, I don't think the Ravens are the best team in the AFC. Well, DeAndre, who do you think is the best team in the AFC? Who do you think? Just out of curiosity. And again, just to bring things full circle, you guys, this conversation started discussing how Jalen Ramsey was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers and Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded back to the Miami Dolphins. The Steelers also got Jonnu Smith, so they pair him with Pat Freiermuth, so they have a 1-2 punch at tight end. I expect to see a lot of 12 personnel with them, but we also use this trade. We use this trade as an opportunity to discuss Kelee Ringo standing with the Eagles because a lot of people wanted Jalen Ramsey, right? A lot of Eagles fans felt like the Eagles could make a move for him. They also wanted Jihaad Alexander. Jihaad Alexander got picked up by the Baltimore Ravens, right? Hence how the Ravens came up. So now that we look at Kelee Ringo and we say to ourselves, all right, once again, the road is being paved. Can you walk down it? Can you do your job to live up to expectations? I think Kelee Ringo is going to be a good player for the Eagles. I think Kelee Ringo is going to have a good season. That's what I think, especially when he's going to be surrounded by talented guys like Quinyon, Coop, Zack, Baun, right? And Kobe Dean when he gets healthy, that defensive line, right? Reed Blankenship at safety. We'll see what it looks like between Tristan McCullum, Sidney Brown, and Andrew Makuba. We'll see how that turns out. But I think Kelee Ringo is in a good situation, personnel-wise. DeAndre Solomon says his best teams in the AFC are the Chiefs, then Bills. Ravens can't beat them, so how are they better? When you put it that way, DeAndre, I understand. I can't argue with that logic. They can't beat them, especially in the playoffs, where that's where everything matters most. That's where your career is defined, right? It's funny how since Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl, all of a sudden playoff success is being called into question. all of a sudden now we're questioning ring culture. I think that's fascinating to me. The moment Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni won Super Bowls, now all of a sudden ring culture is in question. We don't know how to value playoff success all of a sudden. It's weird. But nonetheless, to your point, DeAndre, I got to agree with you. I have to. As talented as the Ravens are on paper, they cannot beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. They can't beat the Bills for some reason. I don't know what that's about. That's something they got to figure out. But the Ravens on paper, that's a super team. That's a super team on paper. And honestly, the way the NFL works, I don't even believe in super teams in the NFL because it's really not that it's not that easy to construct rosters like this. Like what the Eagles have done. It's not that easy to do that. Like, I don't know, man. Super teams, I just feel like super team is such an NBA term. It's such an NBA term. And super teams are dead. They're dead in the NBA. We've had 9 different NBA champions in the past 12 seasons. The age of the super team is dead. I don't like how super team has found its way in the NFL conversations or the NFL lexicon because the Eagles are successful. They draft well. They develop. The Eagles weren't a super team in September. They didn't call them that. Even with the roster, the roster was always the roster. The roster was always the roster. And not once were the Eagles predicted to be a super team at any point. And the Ravens, the roster's the roster. You look at it, and I say, since we wanted to throw super team around, are the Ravens a super team? Are the Ravens a super team? Where's the glaring weakness? But even then, on paper, it's all on paper. I still got to bet on the Chiefs before I bet on the Ravens, and I still got to bet on the Bills before I bet on the Ravens. Because the results have been the results, right? The Ravens had a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. The Ravens were top 5 in yards per rush attempt, and they were top 5 in yards per pass attempt. They were such a high-powered offense. They were able to move the ball at will. At will. Make sure you guys smash that like button, by the way. It's really important for the success of the show. We have 98 people tuned in right now. We only got 49 likes. So you guys, if you could do me a favor, before you head out, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Tiffany says, has anyone been paying attention to the defense this offseason? Everyone said they are miles ahead of last season at this point. Yeah, you're talking about the Eagles, right? I think Zach Baun said that. Zach Baun said that on the Exciting Mics. He mentioned how they feel way more comfortable in the defense and how the defense, because they had that full season and how everything went, now they feel like they're way ahead of schedule. They feel like they're ready to add new wrinkles to the defense, things of that nature. So yeah, this Eagles defense from a developmental and from an information retention standpoint, I think this defense is in good shape. I actually think the Eagles defense is going to start the season off stronger than they did in 2024. 2024, those first 4 or 5 games, Eagles were still trying to figure out the defense. You added Cooper DeJean to the lineup and so on and so forth, but things kind of took off, right? He completed the puzzle. He completed the Infinity Gauntlet, right? Everything about that defense you saw you saw where they could be great at. Cooper DeJean was the last Infinity Stone in the Gauntlet, and the Eagles were able to be dominant on defense. But now, you did take some hits, right? You did lose Slay. You did lose Milton Williams. You did lose Josh Sweat, right? You did lose CJ GJ. Those are 4 important pieces you lost, right? Who's going to step up? Kelee Ringo is your opportunity now. Andrew Makuba or Sidney Brown or Tristan McCullum. Are you going to step up as well? Reed Blankenship, you got to step up now. Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Aziz Ojulari, Josh Uche, Antoine Power Island, all those guys. Yeah, BG's retired now. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. They responded so well to not having Fletcher Cox. They responded so well. Jordan Davis talked about it. Nobody's coming to save us. We got to do it ourselves. And they responded beautifully. They responded beautifully. I know Fletcher Cox is probably so proud of Jalen Carter, so proud of Jordan Davis and them boys. I know he's so proud of Milton Williams. I know he's so proud of them guys. So, yeah, man. Tiffany, I do think the defense is going to be further along for sure. DeAndre Solomon says the Ravens are the same team with Jair. I don't think they signed anyone else. Hopkins is wash. Listen, some people can say, listen, man, DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know what he has left. I don't know, but I think DeAndre Hopkins is still somebody that can get open, catch the ball, be a possession guy for you. Don't think you're pushing the ball down the field with him, but he can be somebody that can move the chains for you. He's still a savvy, he's still a savvy veteran. So I'm not going to say he's washed. Jair, the injuries, he got to stay healthy. That's what he got to prove. Kevin Watkins says, no, they'll be calling the Ravens a contender. I think the Ravens are a contender, for sure. I think the Ravens have been Super Bowl contenders for at least the past 3 or 4 seasons. I think that. I think the Ravens have been Super Bowl contenders for quite some time. But they haven't been able to get it done for whatever reason. And I think they're contenders now. Let me see if I can name all my contenders here. Let me see. So, all right, we're looking at the depth chart, or not the depth chart, the standings. So my contenders are the Buffalo Bills. Well, okay, here are my contenders from the AFC. Here are my contenders from the AFC. You got the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think those are the tier 1 contenders. All 3 of those teams are legit Super Bowl contenders. Legit. They got the offense, they got the defense. Now, could the Buffalo Bills add more at receiver? Sure. Right? Keon Coleman has to step up. They got Shakir. But Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City. Those are my tier 1 contenders in the AFC. Tier 1. As a matter of fact, let me just do both, right? Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Eagles. Rams. And Lions. So, Eagles, Rams, Lions, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills. Those are my tier 1 contenders. Tier 1, right? My tier 2 contenders are Washington, the Bengals, the Steelers. I probably got to do more science on this, but so far, those are my tier 2 contenders. The Packers, Bucks, Vikings, I guess you got to put the Chargers in there. I don't think so, personally. I think the Bengals, their offense is loaded, but that defense is so compromised, bro. Like, so compromised, man. But yeah, that tier 1 group, Eagles, Lions, Rams, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, those are the 6 legitimate contenders, in my opinion. 6 legitimate. They're the legit contenders. Those 6 teams right there. Everybody else, you got flaws. You got flaws. Sweet Chin Music says the Chargers are interesting. I would probably have them over the Bengals. I think people to your point, I think because of that offense, because of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, right? I think they have Gesicki at tight end. Chase Brown is entering year 2 at running back. They still have a weak offensive line, in my opinion. Their defense is flawed. I think the Bengals are being a tad overrated just because of their offensive firepower. But we've seen throughout this playoffs and the Super Bowl that, yeah, you can have all the talent you want. You got to have a defense. You got to have a defense. You got to have a defense. A defense covers up so many flaws. A good defense can carry an average offense further than a good offense can carry an average defense. So I'll put you this way. An elite defense can carry a good offense or an average offense. I don't know if an elite offense can carry an average defense. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. And the Bengals learned the hard way. They learned the hard way all year long that all that offense, all that scoring is not enough. It's not enough. If the Bengals made the playoffs, Joe Burrow would probably be MVP. That's how crazy of a year he had. Fresh and Clean says, I'm taking the Texans over the Chargers. Me too. I'm taking the Texans over the Chargers. I think the Texans are I think CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is better than Justin Herbert. That's my opinion. I know CJ Stroud had a down year his second season. He definitely has to come back. Hopefully his shoulder is all good to go. But I've seen Justin Herbert with all that talent he has inside his body. Like, I've seen him just turn into a duck in the playoffs. Somebody that talented shouldn't be making the mistakes he's making. I'm sorry, like Justin Herbert's playoff performances and his inconsistencies, that takes a hit. He takes a hit because of that. CJ Stroud has a playoff win, right? Matter of fact, CJ Stroud has 2 playoff wins. What is he, 2-2 in the playoffs? I think CJ Stroud is 2-2 in the playoffs. Let me make sure I got this right here. Yeah, yep. He's 2-2. 2-2 in the playoffs, a 66% completion percentage, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. You know? And I think he was hurt last year, personally. I'm taking the Texans over the Chargers for sure. And that defense is going to be crazy. They got CJ GJ over there. Who else they got over there? They got Derek Stingley, of course. Don't they got Petrie? Let's see where we at. They got Will Anderson. They got Danielle Hunter. Christian Harris, Aziz Al-Shaair, Derek Stingley, C.J. Garner-Johnson, Jalen Petrie, Kamari Lassiter. Bro, come on, man. Come on, bro. They got Danico Autry. On offense, they got Nico Collins. They brought in Christian Kirk at wide receiver. They drafted Jaden Higgins. Tank Dell still has to come back. He's still hurt. I think Tank Dell's going to be going for a while. They do take a hit on the offensive line, though, because they ain't got Laremy Tunsil. But they got Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb. Come on, man. Bro. They got Dalton Schultz at tight end. I think the Texans are definitely better than the Chargers. And then let's get to the point that was brought up earlier by my man Alex. Shout out to Alex with the $20 super chat, man. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this with you guys. Alex says, Tone, did you see the clip of Barkley talking about the Week 16 loss to Washington? Quote, we remember how they celebrated. If this was college, they would have stormed the field. End quote. That was definitely some motivation for the NFC Championship game. I agree with you 100%, Alex. Here's the thing, right? You know, we beat them the first time. They beat us the second time. We beat them the third time. And the second time, they really shouldn't have won that game. We gave it to them. But nonetheless, their quarterback, I think he had like 5 or 4 touchdowns. He balled out. He did what he was supposed to do. They overcame what, 6 turnovers, 5 turnovers? It was crazy. We gave that game away, right? But the larger point is that neither Washington nor the Dallas Cowboys reached out to Saquon or even inquired about their services. That tells you everything you need to know about how the league was viewing Saquon at the time. Oh, you don't invest. Every publication was talking about it was a risk investing in a running back like that, right? And when I look at the Cowboys, right? See, Washington, they were going through a lot of turnover with the front office and ownership. You know, maybe they weren't in position to make a move like that, right? Fair enough. But the Dallas Cowboys, y'all never inquired about Derrick Henry. Y'all didn't inquire about Saquon Barkley. Did y'all even inquire about Josh Jacobs when he was available? Like, the Cowboys' running game hasn't been good in a long time. Well, it hasn't been consistent. It hasn't been consistent. I think Rigo Dowdle is better than what the stats say. I think Rigo Dowdle is actually good, but they let him walk. I think Rigo Dowdle is in Carolina now. They brought in Miles Sanders this season. Who else they brought in at running back this year? Let me see. But for the Cowboys not to even call Saquon, and for them to not even pick up the phone and call Derrick Henry, it speaks volumes about their organization. It speaks volumes. They got Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Jaden Blue. The Eagles were looking at Jaden Blue. He's a scat back, a guy to catch the ball from the backfield, so on and so forth. But I think once again, this Cowboys run game is going to be mediocre. I think Miles Sanders, I don't know what he has left. Javonte Williams, let me see what he did last year. He's a young guy, though. Javonte Williams is 25. He's coming off of a very, very average season. Probably below average, but he played in 17 games in 2024, had 11 starts, 139 carries, 513 rush yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. He doesn't have many miles on him. He's coming off of a season where he had 859 total yards from scrimmage. So Javonte Williams, he's a decent back. In 2021, had over 1,200 yards from scrimmage and 7 total touchdowns. In 2022, he was hurt. In 2023, had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and 5 touchdowns, and in 2024 had over 850 yards from scrimmage and 4 touchdowns. So when he's been fully healthy, 2024 was his weakest season. Now going to Dallas, how will they use Javonte Williams? He's clearly been used in the passing game a lot in his career. He had 70 targets in 2024, 58 targets in 23, and 53 targets in 2021. He's been used in the passing game. And he's been used in the running game. But Miles Sanders, on the other hand, I think Miles Sanders is coming off an injury season. Miles Sanders has not been the same since he left Philadelphia. Let's just call it what it is. They gave him all that money. He's coming off a Pro Bowl. And in 2023, 16 games played, only 5 starts, 432 yards, 1 touchdown. 2024, 11 games played, 2 starts. He was injured as well. 55 attempts, 205 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Miles Sanders has truly fallen from grace. And it's not like Carolina has a spectacular offensive line. So therefore, he got exposed. And I don't know. I think he's cooked, personally. I think he's cooked. So you look at the Cowboys and you say, okay, you brought in an overcooked Miles Sanders, who's 28 years old, and you brought in Javonte Williams, who's 25. I think the highest upside is clearly with Javonte Williams. It's clear, the upside is clearly there. I wouldn't be surprised if their top 2 running backs end up being Javonte Williams and Jaden Blue, the Dallas Cowboys, that is. I wouldn't be surprised. But again, this goes back to the Saquon point. Dallas didn't call him. Washington didn't call him. How? Because they're piss poor franchises. And again, I give Washington a break because they were going through a lot of turnover, personnel-wise, roster, front office, coaching. They went through a lot of turnover. They weren't in position to make a move like that, personally, in my opinion. But the Dallas Cowboys, dumpster fire. The only reason the Dallas Cowboys are even relevant is because of the brand, not because of football. They are a bottom half of the league franchise. Just based off of how they make moves. The moves they make and don't make. They're always trying to go against the grain or trying to be the smartest ones in the room. There's no reason why you shouldn't have made a move for Derrick Henry or Saquon. No reason. Unless you bought into the hype. Unless you bought into the hype that you can't pay running backs when they get past a certain age, or you can't build your team around a running back. The running game is obsolete. You win by passing the ball. Well, boy, were you wrong. Boy, were you wrong. The best teams in the league this year had legit running games. Most of the teams in the playoffs were in the top 10 in rush attempts. Most of the teams in the playoffs, a good amount of the teams in the playoffs, were bottom half of the league in pass attempts because they had good running games. Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley would have completely shifted the Dallas Cowboys' fortunes. Because it's not like Dallas has an awful offensive line. They're young. They're young. And they wasted Hall of Fame careers. And who was it? Is it Tyron Smith and Zack Martin? Wasted Hall of Fame careers. Just wasted them. So I don't know, that's why I can't even get mad at Saquon when he says what he says. He's right. It's belt to ass every single time. And look, when you're a Super Bowl champion, Offensive Player of the Year, All-Pro, Pro Bowler, when you decorate it like that, break the all-time record for rushing yards in the regular season and playoffs combined, when you got that record, you one of them ones. You one of them ones. It's just that simple. You one of them ones. All right. We're about to close the show out. We got over 100 people in the live stream. We only got 64 likes, you guys. Make sure you guys smash that like button. That like button is super important, helps the channel grow. I appreciate all the love and support. You guys have been phenomenal. And once again, it's bringing everything full circle, right? The pressure is mounting on Kelee Ringo. And I think he knows that. I think he welcomes it. I think he's feeling really good about himself. I think Vic Fangio is also feeling really good about his defense as well, right? I think Kelee Ringo is in a great position to develop with Vic Fangio. He has another season in the Vic Fangio program, playing with Quinyon and Coop. Them boys are gonna hold him down. He's surrounded by a lot of talented dudes. You know, Jalen Ramsey being traded from the Dolphins to the Steelers. Minkah Fitzpatrick goes back to the Miami Dolphins. Jair Alexander gets signed to the Ravens. Those corners that a lot of you guys were looking at, they're gone now. So Kelee Ringo is all on you, big dog, because the cornerback market isn't the best right now. As a matter of fact, if I'm taking a quick look at the free agent cornerback market right now, it's really not that strong. So Kelee Ringo, it's all on you, big dog. It's all on you. I'm seeing James Bradbury, Kendall Fuller, Stephon Gilmore, maybe the Gilly Lock. He's probably the best guy on the market right now. He still hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. You got Russell Douglas, who's available. CJ Henderson, Mike Hilton, Shaquille Griffin. Well, actually, I think Shaquille Griffin just signed with the Seahawks again. But Asante Samuel Jr., there's some guys out there, but I think the Eagles look at that market and say to themselves, all right, if we really want somebody, we could probably find somebody, but we want to give Kelee Ringo a shot. So Kelee Ringo entering year 3. They trying to give you the chance, big dog. What you gonna do with it? Man? And then look, you know, these teams, it's an arms race. All these teams are trying to build that perfect roster. I love what the Ravens are trying to do. I love what the Steelers are trying to do. You got to shake something up. You got to shake it up. The way you've been doing things, it clearly hasn't been working. They got Aaron Rodgers now on that offense with the Steelers. So, and then DK, and then they got Jonas Smith with Pat Freiermuth, Calvin Austin. I like him a lot. At running back, who do they have at running back? Steelers running back situation. Okay. All right. So the Steelers at running back, they got Jalen Warren, Caleb Johnson, Kenny Gainwell. Okay. So, you know, we'll see what they do, man. We'll see what they do. Offensive line is still good. You know, I think we're going to see a lot of 12 personnel with the Steelers as well. But Kelee Ringo, your time, big dog. Your time. What's the last thing I wanted to mention with you guys? We talked about the Saquon situation. I think that was it. Let me double check my news sources. Devontae Smith showing love to Andrew Makuba. Devontae Smith he had his softball game this past weekend, and he spoke about how, you know, he's been really impressed with Andrew Makuba, right? So Andrew Makuba's already turning heads of the vets. We'll see how that turns out for him. You know, that safety position battle is going to be fun to watch. Sidney Brown, Andrew Makuba, Tristan McCullum, right? I think this Eagles defense has some interesting storylines to follow, for sure. And, you know, we're going to continue to cover things around the NFL and as it comes back to the Philadelphia Eagles. So make sure you guys stay locked in. Make sure you guys take advantage of that SeatGeek promo code. All you got to do is download the SeatGeek app, and you can get $20 off your first SeatGeek order if you use the promo code Chalk It Up Sports. Once again, you can get $20 off your very first SeatGeek order. All you got to do is download the app. It's baseball season, so pick up your baseball season tickets. Use promo code Chalk It Up Sports, and you'll get $20 off that total order. All right? Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me, goes a long way. Got a lot of content coming out this week. As you guys already know, we've started doing reaction videos. So we're going to be doing reaction videos throughout the week. We're going to be posting those, and we're also going to be doing reaction videos throughout the season. So I'm really excited about that. Just as a reminder, excuse me, we don't get benefited or paid by our reaction videos, you guys. Those reaction videos, they take all that money. So if you guys want to continue to support and continue to watch those videos and watch the other content on the channel and the live streams, we appreciate that as well. The content is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can watch the short form content on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm always on Twitter talking trash. Be it if I'm talking about the Eagles, talking about the NFL, talking about movies. That's pretty much what I'm always doing. So I appreciate y'all. Got a lot of love for y'all. Smash that like button. Shout out to Tyler Broswell for becoming a new member. Appreciate you. Shout out to Alex with the $20 super chat. Shout out to Fanny with the $10 super chat. And it's straight like that. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II. And you guys have been locked in on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to trust to the game.